I cut from this plant again today, without thinking about it. There was no ceremony, no careful planning, no sense that this harvest mattered more than the last one. I reached down, took what I needed, and walked back inside. Only later did it hit me how strange that moment actually was. Most plants make you pause before harvesting, as if you're taking something finite. This one doesn't. It feels more like borrowing than taking, because it has never once acted like it was running out. There was a time when I would have assumed a plant treated this way would weaken. I would have expected yellowing leaves, slower growth, or some quiet sign of exhaustion. Instead, every time I returned, the plant looked steady. Not bigger in a dramatic way, not desperate, just calmly alive, as if harvesting was part of the agreement we'd made with each other. That quiet persistence is what makes this plant so unsettling and so comforting at the same time. There is an entire category of food plants that modern gardening quietly stepped away from. Not because they failed, but because they didn't fit a system built around predictability and uniformity. These plants don't rush. They don't finish neatly. They don't give you everything at once. Instead, they offer themselves gradually in small, repeatable moments that feel almost unremarkable until you realize how rare that behavior has become. Perennial food plants belong to this forgotten category. They don't reset every year. They don't demand constant replanting. They exist on a different timeline, one that doesn't match our schedules but matches our lives much better. They grow while you're busy. They survive mistakes. They remember where they are. And once you notice one, it becomes hard to accept how much effort we've normalized in growing food. The Egyptian walking onion doesn't announce itself as special. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary clump of green onion tops, standing quietly among louder plants. There's no dramatic leaf shape, no bright color, no obvious promise. If you didn't know what it was, you might assume it was temporary. That assumption is part of why so many people overlook it. What makes this plant remarkable is something you only notice over time. It doesn't flower the way most onions do. Instead, it produces small onion bulbs at the top of its stalks. These bulb clusters grow heavier and heavier until the stalk bends, touching the ground nearby. When it does, those tiny onions take root, starting a new plant without being planted. The onion doesn't spread aggressively. It spreads patiently, one slow step at a time, as if testing the ground before committing. The first time you see this happen, it feels almost intentional, like the plant is choosing where it wants to live next. There is something deeply grounding about watching a plant reproduce without urgency. No rush to seed, no frantic end-of-life effort, just continuation. That alone changes how you relate to it. You stop thinking in seasons and start thinking in years. To understand why the Egyptian walking onion keeps producing under frequent harvesting, it helps to look at how it is structured as a plant. Unlike bulb onions that are bred to put all their energy into one large underground storage organ, walking onions distribute their energy across multiple growing points. They are not focused on finishing a life cycle in one season. Instead, they behave like a colony plant, maintaining several active growth centers at the same time. The underground portion of the plant is not a single bulb, but a group of small connected bulbs. Each of these bulbs can store energy, produce shoots, and respond independently to harvesting. When one shoot is cut, the others continue growing without interruption. This redundancy is one of the main reasons the plant never seems stressed by regular harvesting. Above ground, the leaves are hollow and cylindrical, similar to green onions, but thicker and tougher. This structure allows them to regrow quickly after being cut. The leaves are not meant to be permanent. They are designed for repeated loss and replacement, which is very different from plants that rely on large, delicate leaves for photosynthesis. When you harvest the green tops of a walking onion, you are not interrupting its reproductive process. You are simply removing temporary growth. The plant's main survival structures remain underground, protected and well supplied with stored carbohydrates. Because of this, harvesting does not trigger stress responses the way it does in many annual vegetables. In fact, cutting the leaves often improves growth. Removing older leaves increases airflow and light penetration to the remaining shoots. This encourages the plant to send up new growth rather than maintaining aging tissue. The result is a continuous cycle of fresh, tender greens rather than a slow decline. Another important factor is that walking onions do not rely on flowering and seed production to complete their life cycle. Since they reproduce through bulb formation instead, harvesting leaves does not interfere with reproduction. This removes the usual trade-off between eating the plant and allowing it to reproduce, which is common in many garden crops. The topset bulbs are one of the most misunderstood features of the Egyptian walking onion. These small bulbs form at the end of the flowering stalk, but they are not seeds. They are complete living clones of the parent plant. Each one already contains the genetic and structural information needed to grow immediately. Because these bulbs are clones, the plant does not need to wait for pollination, seed development, or germination. This saves time and energy. When the stalk bends and the bulbs touch the ground, they can root almost instantly if conditions are right. This allows the plant to expand gradually without weakening itself. From a gardener's perspective, these topset bulbs are optional. You can let them root naturally, harvest them for replanting elsewhere, or even use them in cooking. Removing them does not harm the parent plant. In many cases, it redirects energy back into leaf and underground bulb production. Many garden plants fail under repeated harvesting because they exhaust their root systems. Walking onions avoid this problem by maintaining a stable underground structure year after year. Instead of starting over from seed each season, the plant builds on what already exists. Each year adds capacity rather than resetting it. The plant also grows at a moderate pace. It does not attempt explosive growth, which would require constant high nutrient input. Instead, it balances leaf production with root storage. This steady approach makes it less sensitive to fluctuations in water, temperature, and soil fertility. Because the plant is perennial, it enters dormancy when conditions are unfavorable rather than dying. During these periods, it conserves energy underground and resumes growth when conditions improve. This ability to pause without loss is one of the main reasons it survives frequent harvesting over long periods. In early spring, the Egyptian walking onion begins active growth far earlier than most garden vegetables. This is because the plant does not need to germinate or establish roots. Its underground bulbs already contain stored energy from the previous growing season, allowing immediate leaf production as soon as soil temperatures rise slightly. This makes it one of the earliest reliable green food sources in a temperate garden. During this phase, leaf growth is rapid and dense. The plant produces multiple shoots simultaneously, each drawing from shared underground reserves. Because the plant is coming out of dormancy, the leaves are especially tender and mild in flavor. Harvesting during early spring does not slow growth, as the plant is operating on stored carbohydrates accumulated over the previous year. Spring is also when underground bulbs begin to divide and expand. Even if no harvesting occurs, the plant is actively increasing its capacity for future growth. This means that harvesting greens at this time does not reduce later yields. Instead, it often improves airflow and light access, supporting stronger overall development. As temperatures increase, the Egyptian walking onion naturally reduces its growth rate. Unlike annual onions, which often struggle or bolt in summer heat, walking onions enter a controlled slowdown. This is not stress-induced decline, but a strategic reduction in leaf production to conserve energy and moisture. During this period, harvesting should be lighter and less frequent. The plant can still be cut, but removing too much foliage at once may slow regrowth. Even so, the plant does not die back completely. The underground bulbs remain alive and active, maintaining the plant until cooler conditions return. Summer is also when topset bulbs begin to form on mature stalks. This process does not rely on flowering or pollination. Instead, the plant shifts part of its energy above ground to produce these small, complete bulbs. Their formation does not interfere with leaf production and does not require the gardener to intervene. As temperatures cool, the Egyptian walking onion increases growth again. Fall often produces some of the strongest and most balanced growth of the year. Leaf production resumes steadily, and underground bulbs continue storing energy for winter survival. This makes fall an excellent time for consistent harvesting without risk of weakening the plant. During this season, the plant benefits from harvesting because it reduces old leaf material that would otherwise decline naturally. Removing aging leaves allows the plant to focus on producing healthy tissue and storing energy underground. This preparation directly affects how strong the plant will be in the following spring. Fall is also the ideal time to relocate or divide walking onions if needed. Because the plant is entering a storage-focused phase, transplant shock is minimal. Divided bulbs quickly re-establish roots and resume growth, making fall the most forgiving season for adjustments. In winter, the Egyptian walking onion enters dormancy, but it does not disappear. In colder climates, the leaves may die back partially or completely, while the underground bulbs remain alive. This dormancy is a survival mechanism that protects the plant from cold damage without requiring replanting. In milder climates, some green growth may persist through winter, allowing occasional harvesting even during cold months. Regardless of visible growth, the plant remains active underground, maintaining root health and storing energy for spring emergence. Importantly, winter harvesting should be minimal. Cutting leaves during dormancy does not kill the plant, but it provides little benefit since regrowth is slow. Allowing the plant to rest ensures stronger spring production and maintains long-term sustainability. The Egyptian walking onion is not demanding when it comes to soil, but understanding why helps explain its long-term productivity. The plant prefers loose, well-draining soil, not because it requires high fertility, but because its bulbs need oxygen access to remain healthy over many years. Compacted, waterlogged soil limits oxygen and can cause bulb rot, which is one of the few conditions this plant does not tolerate well. Despite this preference, walking onions tolerate a wide range of soil fertility levels. Because they grow slowly and steadily, they do not exhaust nutrients quickly. Their perennial nature allows them to build organic matter around their root zone over time, improving soil structure naturally without constant amendments. Excess fertilizer is more harmful than helpful. High nitrogen levels encourage overly soft leaf growth, which can reduce resilience and storage capacity. Moderate fertility supports balanced leaf production and bulb development, which is essential for continuous harvesting over many years. Choosing where to place walking onions in the garden is more important than how you care for them afterward. Because they persist for years, they should be treated more like a permanent planting than a seasonal crop. Locations along garden edges, perennial beds, or low-traffic areas work especially well. Spacing affects productivity over time. While the plant tolerates crowding, excessive density can limit airflow and increase competition among bulbs. Allowing moderate spacing ensures each cluster can expand naturally without reducing leaf production. Sun exposure influences growth rate but not survival. Full sun produces stronger leaf growth, while partial shade slows production but does not stop it. This adaptability allows the plant to succeed in areas unsuitable for more demanding vegetables. Walking onions require consistent but moderate moisture. Their shallow roots benefit from regular watering during active growth, but the bulbs must never remain saturated for extended periods. The plant's perennial structure means root damage accumulates over time, making drainage more important than frequent watering. Once established, the plant becomes drought tolerant. Underground bulbs store both energy and moisture, allowing the plant to survive dry periods without immediate decline. This trait contributes to its ability to keep producing, even when watering is irregular. Mulching benefits walking onions by stabilizing soil temperature and moisture. Organic mulch also contributes to slow soil improvement without disturbing the bulbs, supporting long-term productivity. The most common mistake gardeners make is harvesting everything at once. Removing all green growth repeatedly weakens the plant's ability to photosynthesize and recharge underground reserves. However, walking onions often recover if even a small portion of foliage remains. Another mistake is frequent digging or relocation. Because walking onions depend on stable underground structures, disturbing the bulbs too often interrupts their long-term rhythm. Allowing the plant to remain undisturbed leads to better productivity year after year. Even when mistakes occur, recovery is possible. The plant's redundancy allows remaining bulbs to compensate, gradually restoring growth. This resilience is rare among vegetables and one of the key reasons the plant tolerates frequent harvesting. Walking